Hi, I'm Zach.
I'm Lou.
I'm Gavin.
And I'm Blake. This is our presentation on the gastric brooding frog.
In order to bring the frog back, there's a couple things you have to do. First, we need to find the DNA of the brooding frog through samples that we had when they were alive. After that, we need to use a process called CRISPR to repair the DNA to make it viable. Then, we need to find the egg cell of a similar species. Then, we need to replace the nucleus in the egg cell with the nucleus from the DNA of the brooding frog. After that, we need to replicate the egg cells and then inject them into a surrogate species so they can give birth to the frog.
This is the process of reintroducing the gastric brooding frog back into Australia. We're going to reintroduce it into the Blue Mountains National Park. This is located in southern Australia. It has a very similar set of creeks and streams that could be a very good place for the frogs to live. It is very similar to where they used to live, which means that it can be a good habitat for them. Also, the food there is comprised of many insects and invertebrates that they would be able to eat. This is very similar to their diet before and would not require too many changes by the frog.
If we were to introduce the frog back into the ecosystem, it would have numerous impacts on it. Since the frogs have been gone, the insect population has gone up, which in turn means pollination of plants goes up, which means more plants, more oxygen, and less CO2. But if the gastric brooding frogs were to be reintroduced, that means the population of many insects would go down, which would mean pollination rates would go down. It would mean many types of plants would diminish.
The frog has evolved adaptations that help it with surviving its environment. The frogs have evolved to keep their eggs and their babies in their stomachs, and they did this to protect their young and so they could survive into adulthood and increase. As far as evolutionary adaptations go, this one seems pretty effective, even though they went extinct. Human impact, we don't know how humans will really impact with the frogs once we bring them back, but when we do, they'd be placed into sanctuaries where humans could not interfere with them, so it probably wouldn't affect them in the first place. But even though that we're going to put them in isolated environment, humans have already impacted them by contributing to global warming, and that probably will impact the frogs in ways that we don't know until we bring them back.